Solomon here, your music theory teacher, and in this video I want to talk about chords. How to build chords on the piano, how to put the fingers in the right place. And you may have noticed when you look for songs on the internet that along with the lyrics or the chords there are little letters. These are the chords. Now if you master these chords, you can really accompany yourself singing those songs, or participate in a group playing these songs, improvise of course, and even produce arrangements for that song on your computer, if that's your line. Now I'm going to cover triad chords with 3 notes only, but there are other chords with even up to 7 different notes in them, but that's for another video. But the triads are really the basis of all Western harmony, and that's really the first thing that one must learn before one goes into serious study of harmony. So let's move on to the keyboard. Well, this is quite an ancient keyboard, a Pleyel French piano. Okay, so now chords are really a structure of 3 different notes which sound good together. Now, the principle behind chords is actually playing one note, then skipping one, then playing another note, then skipping another one, and then playing another note. That's the only way that they sound good. That, without skipping, that doesn't sound good. This may sound good, but it's not very stable. The stable chords, which we now learn, are these. Actually, when you skip one note, that's an interval called a third. So from C here to E here, that's a third. And also from D here and F here, that's another third. But you may notice that the size of the thirds is not identical, because from C to E there are 2 tones, from here to here and from here to here. But from D to F there's only 1.5 tones, because from D to E there's a tone, and from E to F, as there is no black key between them, it's only a semitone, so together it's 1.5 tones. Now the chords are actually stacking 2 thirds one over the other. This third and another third above it. And that here and here, this third and another third above it. Now, it depends. If the first third, the lower third, is a major third with 2 tones, and the second third is a minor third with only 1.5 tones, this creates a chord which sounds quite bright, and it's called a major chord. So that's the major. But if, for instance, if we begin from D, first there is a minor third and then a major third, it creates a chord which sounds a bit darker, even a bit sad, and we call that a minor chord. Now, usually it's either a major third and a minor third, or the opposite, a minor third or a major third. But there is one place where you can find 2 consecutive minor thirds. For instance, here. You have 1.5 tones from here to here and 1.5 tones from here to here. So 2 minor thirds, that's called a diminished chord. It's a bit rare, but it exists. And there is another chord, and to play that chord I have to use a black key. There's no possibility to play it with only white keys, and that's 2 major thirds stacked one over the other. Say from C to E, that's a major third, and from E to G sharp, that's another major third. Together they create this, which is called an augmented chord. Actually, it's the fact that I have to use the black notes demonstrates that it's actually not very organic, not very natural, and it sounds quite weird. And it's the most rare of the 4 possibilities. But the most common notes that you will encounter are major and minor chords. Now, the name of the chord is determined by the first note. Say, if I build a chord from here to here, that will be called a C chord, because the first note, that's called the root, is a C. If I begin from here, from D, F, A, that will be called a D chord. But to be more accurate, when it's a major chord, we just call it a plain C. But when it's a minor chord, say from D, F, A, that's a minor chord, we call it a D minor chord with a small letter M over there. A diminished chord is written usually like that, D-I-M, so that's a B diminished chord. And if I take an augmented chord, say from D to F sharp, and from F sharp to A sharp, wow, that's scary. That's an augmented chord, and it's called a D augmented chord. Sometimes it's also written 5 plus, or just plus. Now, of course, you can create all kinds of chords from every note on the keyboard. It just depends on the sizes of the thirds you use. So, for instance, if I play C, E, and G, that's a C chord. But say I see in the music a C minor chord. So I begin from C and then go up a minor third, 1.5 tones. So this time it won't be an E, it will be an E flat. And then I have to go up a major third. So 2 tones above E flat, that's a G. So that's a CM chord. So it's curious to see that actually the difference between a minor chord and a major chord is only in the middle tone, in the middle note, where in the major it's slightly higher than in the minor. So basically, if you can straight away grasp the fifth, which is like the frame of the picture, of the chord, then all you have to do is just determine whether it's in the middle, that note or that note, if it's a minor or a major chord. Okay? So, say I want to play an E chord now. I search for an E. I go 2 tones up for a major third, so that's a G sharp, and then 1.5 tones, a minor third, and that's a B. So that's an E chord. If I want to make it an E minor chord, I just lower the middle note a semitone, and that's an EM. I brought these 2 examples so as not to mislead you. It's not always that the middle note is black, the middle key is black when it's minor, because in CM the middle key is black, and the C is a normal key, a white key. But in E and EM it's just the opposite. In E, in the major chord, the middle note is black, it's a sharp. And in a minor chord, it's a white normal G. But of course you can create also a diminished chord from any tone. Say D sharp diminished chord, that's a D sharp. 1.5 tones, that's an F sharp. 1.5 tones, that's an A. So that's a diminished chord, etc. So the letter signifies the root, and then from there you stack thirds, either first the major third and then the minor third, and you get a major chord, or the minor third first and then the major third, and then you get a minor chord, or the first and second thirds minor thirds, and then you get a diminished chord, or 2 major thirds, and that's an augmented chord. Now, all this, of course, demands for practice, but in time you see that it's like reading. You read the letters of the chords and your fingers know where to go. Okay, that's it for now. Please tell me in the comments whether this helped you. And of course, if there are other questions, I'll be happy to answer. And I wanted to ask you, what are the notes of an F sharp minor chord? And what chord is an E with a G sharp and a normal C? So that's a little quiz for you. And of course there's much more in store. What to do with the chords, how to spread your fingers on the piano, how to get into a nice groove with these chords, which most fits the song you're in. And of course, understanding all the harmonic progressions, which chords leads to which chord. So you're welcome to check my jig on Fiverr in the link below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and smash the bell button to get notifications about new videos. So that's all for now. Bye!